Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? My favorite quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I would like to share with you a few of my experiences assisting in caregiving for my close friend Barbara, a fine woman who has suffered and become immobile from multiple sclerosis. While helping Barbara over around the last 5 years, I have developed more compassion for individuals with chronic physical and mental handicaps. Barbara has suffered from multiple sclerosis for around 30 years. Multiple sclerosis, commonly known as MS, is an autoimmune disease in which the body's immune system attacks and progressively damages myelin, a substance which surrounds and insulates our nerves. According to Barbara, serious lesions have now formed around her parts of her brain and spine. As a neurological disease, MS has a wide variety of symptoms, including fatigue, numbness, dizziness, vision problems, weakness, difficulty walking, and muscle spasms. It also causes depression, and Barbara has had her share of this. Barbara, who is just over 60, lives alone. While her mother is alive and nearby, and several siblings live locally, they provide only limited help. She is immobile, and although she can sometimes walk around in her apartment, she is dependent on a wheelchair when outside and away from home. Barbara has an aide who comes and stays with her 5 hours a day, most days per week, who provides assistance with self-care and more demanding domestic tasks. I am one of few friends willing to help drive her around. Unfortunately, her best female friend just relocated far from Atlanta. She does have a broader, active community of friends from her neighborhood church, where she attends very faithfully. One of my 2 primary purposes in this speech is to share with each of you the value of showing compassion, especially to individuals with chronic illnesses. My experience with Barbara has taught me so much about helping someone in need in these ways. Small favors and service through action are helpful much more than I realized. Secondly, listening attentively and sensitively to a vulnerable individual can mean a great deal. Finally, giving with an attitude free of judgment is very important. Most of the time I have spent with Barbara has been taking her to church services, medical appointments, and the hospital emergency room. I have often done grocery or other shopping with or without her accompanying me based on lists that she provides. In the spring of last year, Barbara fell and shattered her knee when getting out of bed, and she was no longer able to drive or maneuver as well within her home. This required her to have surgery, a cast, to be hospitalized a few weeks, and then to spend several weeks in a rehabilitation hospital. She then developed a blood clot in her knee, which required more surgery. It took her a full year for her knee to heal, and she also had to live 4 months in a nursing facility earlier this year. I did a lot of daily tasks and errands while she was confined to the rehabilitation hospital. I do things for Barbara. I found some reward in it. I've met some of her friends and family who have been very kind, unique people. Our birthday party her mother had just for her and a few friends. She invited me, and then a friend of hers who lives up in the northern suburb, has a big house and had a big party this summer, and I got invited to that, and so that was nice. And I'm also enjoying learning about Catholicism. She's a converted Catholic. Last night she told me about the 100th anniversary of the Our Lady of Fatima celebration, the miracle of the sun. That's a big event. I also spend a lot of time with Barbara listening to her at length about many ongoing woes and disappointments of her life and her past. I do my best to be patient and sensitive and empathetic during these long conversations by phone or in person, as she confides sad moments and frustrations about her life. Being as sensitive a listener as possible has been the most challenging task in being a loyal friend. I am often unsure that if I interrupt her feelings might be hurt, and I can never predict what I can do to be sure a conversation will be satisfying to her. So mostly I just listen and take care not to judge. There are 4 types of MS, and Barbara's type is a rare progressive type. She often complains of being very slow in accomplishing most tasks, due not only to physical symptoms of MS, yet also due to depression and severe anxiety. Her symptoms, which now include some dementia, will continue to worsen, and she will die eventually from the disease. It's a very tough situation for Barbara, and I'm afraid she may only have 1 to 3 more years to live. I have worked hard not to be judgmental about her plight, or what seems like a pessimistic attitude at times. She is a devout churchgoer, a converted Catholic, and her faith and spiritual activities are her primary source of faith now. For better or worse, I have never been this religious. However, I know I must not judge her, because her faith brings her great comfort. How about you? Have you recently helped in service or listened to anyone whose life situation is worse than yours? Like me, have you learned new skills, even happiness, from your compassion and support of that person? I'm happy to say I have. His Holiness the Dalai Lama of India has said, if you want to be happy, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Showing compassion has made me happier. Mr. Toastmaster.